JP Shadrick and Mike Dempsey will guide you through the next 2 hours with insight and analysis of your Jacksonville Jaguars. The Publix Tailgate Show is brought to you by Baptist Health, Farah and Farah, and by TIAA Bank. Let's get the tailgating started. Here are Mike Dempsey and JP Shadrick.
Coming off a win against an AFC contender, the Jags look to make it 2 in a row, and they'll have to do it in a place they haven't won since 2017. It's an AFC South battle in Week 10. The Jacksonville Jaguars at 2-6 meet the 4-5 Indianapolis Colts. Kickoff coming up at 1 o'clock. And welcome into the Publix Tailgate Show. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey. We're back in Jacksonville where the Jaguars, have a little confidence now. They've won 2 of the last 3, Mike, and now they're going on a road against a team that's still in it, that still feels they have an opportunity to make a run at least at a wild card in Indy.
Yeah, I think confidence is a big factor here, JP, because, you went up against a team that was one of the best offensively and defensively in the National Football League last week. Your defense really shut them down. Now, their defense did a pretty good number on you as well, so we'll see if the Jags offense can keep pace with all of a sudden kind of, turning the tables. The defense really the thing that was holding the Jags back early in the season. The offense needs to pick it up now. We know they're down some playmakers, but nobody's going to wait for you to get those guys back. No. You got to march into Indy and try to get a W today.
Big question mark about James Robinson. Reports that he's a game-time decision again today. He's been on the report all week with that heel issue. We're going to hear from him coming up, but that changes a lot if he's not available.
Oh, absolutely. Even if he is, you got to wonder if he's got to take it up that close to kickoff. Just how available would he be? Would he be able to handle his full workload, whatever that would be? Carlos Hyde's a capable running back in the National Football League. I don't think anybody would argue right now that James Robinson is probably the offensive MVP of this football team and could do so many things, really help you out in the passing game as well as a nice outlet for Trevor Lawrence. So let's hope that not only is James Robinson available, that he can handle the typical James Robinson load today.
Game day weather presented by roofclaim.com. Protection made simple in Indianapolis. It's 34 degrees and snowing. But thanks to Peyton Manning, they have a retractable roof stadium, and the roof is closed at Lucas Oil Stadium today. Here in Jacksonville at the moment, it's a little brisk this morning as well. 54 degrees, a high of 64 today here in Jacksonville, and clear, sunny skies. Let's get to today's top stories, shall we? And start off with the Jaguars, of course, coming off a winning result last week. After the first win, a bye week. And now, a little different this time. Going back to work, head coach Urban Meyer glad to be back immediately on the practice field after the win over the Bills.
I don't know how the maturity, especially of our young players, to handle a bye week. Us as a new staff and young players in a lot of positions, we could have done things better. I'm glad we're playing. I don't want to speak on behalf of our team, but I'm glad we're going instead of sitting. There's a lot of momentum. Guys feel good. We're getting we were down a left tackle, a tailback, at one point our quarterback. So there's really good, vibe in that building right now. So let's go out and practice and keep going.
That's Urban Meyer this week, and that was a big thing last week. Of course, Cam Robinson, all of a sudden 10, 15 minutes before game time, can't go. You got your running back out, all the earlier injuries this year, and they go out and, they didn't play great on offense, obviously, but that's a lot to overcome. And then now you get the victory. Go back to work, see what can happen moving ahead.
Yeah, a big thing, you get Cam Robinson back, it looks like, right? Unless you have another setback in pregame today. It looks like he's fully on track to play off the injury report, which is great news. I think Walker Little, he described it interestingly this week, his oh wow moment as he found out about 10 minutes before the game that he was going to play, JP. But, sometimes that probably helps a young player. He doesn't have a whole lot of time to think about it, dwell on it. Just go out there, react. I thought he did a pretty good job under the circumstances. It wasn't perfect, but, he's a rookie. So making his first NFL start at left tackle, I thought he was okay, but it'll be good to have Cam back in the lineup for sure.
The Jaguars' defense led the way last week in the win, of course. Josh Allen had a career day, 8 tackles, a sack, a fumble recovery, and an interception. Capping off a month of improvement statistically game to game, Allen explaining why.
I feel like just the chemistry that we have up front, man, is just, it makes me more relaxed. Makes me feel like, I trust this dude. So we hang out so much, we have that bond. It's like We play, but we know when it's all time to work, we all working. We all trying to get each other better. We talking, we communicating, we laughing, we getting on each other, you know what I'm saying? But we know when we turn this film on, you know what I'm saying, we all play for each other.
He's a defensive captain, and last week was his career day, Mike. That's what we're looking for from Allen. And it's, the last month or so, he's been playing better. The guys around him, he would credit the interior of the D-line, the play of everybody on defense, helping him get those stats.
Yeah, but you know what? You need individuals that stand out above the crowd, right? And the Jags feel like Trevor Lawrence will ultimately be one of those guys at the most important position. But on defense, you can argue that the position Josh Allen plays, call it outside linebacker, defensive end, the pass rusher is the most important position out there. And I think his play recently has been gotten him recognized nationally. Pro Football Focus has graded him out as one of the better defenders in the league this year, certainly one of the better young defenders in the league. And I think he's now reasserted himself, JP, back in the eyes of Jaguar fandom, that he is a true building block. Like, you've got the two pillars, one on offense in Trevor Lawrence, one on defense in Josh Allen. Continue to play well this year, but the future looks bright for him. I think he's kind of reignited where he was in his rookie season.
The Jaguars' defensive challenge today, slowing down the running game for the Indianapolis Colts. Jonathan Taylor leads the way there. The running back and defensive coordinator Joe Cullen knows they've got a test today.
Taylor's is again, he's a great back. 21, flying around. They get Max, a great back. I mean, they're all really good backs. He's been a Pro Bowler. Taylor's a guy that can take it to the house on any snap. And he's a powerful back, so we got to gang tackle. We got to get a lot of hats on the ball. And, they're similar in some ways, but Tennessee's more of a stretch right, stretch left, lead right, lead left. These guys are a little bit more downhill, double teams. They got a really good offensive line. Coach Reich's always done a great job with the play action pass off the run, so we got our hands full.
Linebacker Miles Jack impressed with what Taylor brings to the table for the Colts.
That's the cool part. I remember playing Jonathan Taylor last year, and I remember walking away from both games being like, that kid's going to be a star, and obviously he is. I don't think people realize how fast he is, like how fast he can get the top speed and everything. So it's a fun game. It's really kind of a game I live for. A great offensive line. They've got Himes that'll come out in the backfield, so I get to cover that as well. So it's a full day I'm looking forward to, and that's a great team. Their strength is the run. Our strength is the run defense. So I think it should be a fun, comparison to see who's who.
That audio courtesy of First Coast News. And yes, Miles, it will be a full day for you running around. They have the passing game big for the running backs as well in this offense. But, Jonathan Taylor leads the league in yards per carry outside the tackles, nearly 8 yards a carry. When he gets outside there and in space, look out. He can take it the distance.
You saw it last week. He got about 5 yards past the line of scrimmage. One of the Colts offensive linemen put one finger up in the air, and he took it 78 yards. They know. I mean, this guy's legit 4'3", JP. Last year against Taylor, it was a tale of two cities right here in Jacksonville. They shut him down in his debut, held him to 22 yards on 9 carries. Of course, in Indianapolis at the end of the season, 253. He averages 5.9 overall. Jags giving up about 3.7. So if you meet in the middle, that's 4.8 yards a carry. That's too many, right? So the Jags can't just hold this neutral today. They've got to win this battle if they're going to slow down this Colts offense.
He's a little over 100 yards away from overtaking Derrick Henry for the league lead in rushing yards as well.
Which tells you how great a season Derrick Henry was having, considering Jonathan Taylor picked up 178 yards, I think 172, whatever it was last week against the Jets. And that was with Henry out, and he still hasn't closed the gap. But 4 times he's gone over the 100-yard mark in the last 6 games, so he's definitely heating up.
Now to the offense. Complimentary football last week. Of course, as we mentioned, the defense led the way. The offense got 3 field goals, had some other chances to score that just slipped through their fingers, and quarterback Trevor Lawrence this week.
I like where we're at. Obviously, that wasn't our best game as an offense, but, it was really cool to see the defense just have our back and, just dominated for 4 quarters. And there's going to be games where, hopefully not a lot, but that's going to happen. And then there's going to be games on the other side where we're going to have to pick them up. So that's just a part of this game, and I think that shows how far this team's come, that one side of the ball can struggle and the other side can play well enough to still win the game, And we did enough down the stretch, controlled the clock and, took advantage of some opportunities, kicked some field goals. Matty Ice did a good job there. So all those things go together, but we can definitely play better, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, play better in certain situations as well on offense, including third down. The Jaguars are worst in the league in third down percentage this year, and offensive coordinator Darrell Bevell explaining why.
I think third down is an issue for us. We've really got to. It's a major focus, and we got to continue to work on it. It all works together, as you guys know. Number one, it's got to be protection. That's got to happen to be able to push the ball down the field. And then after that, you got to be on time with the ball. Guys got to get open, and then when the guys get open, we got to make the throw. So all those things, we've kind of had a little bit of issue really in every one of those areas at different times. So we've got to get that overall execution cleaned up.
There are moments, Mike, where it just feels like it's just a click off, right? I mean, the throw is, last week overthrown, or a couple of drops in key moments on third downs. They just can't move the sticks consistently, and hopefully at some point this thing will get moving. It would help it on first and second down if it's a little shorter on third down a lot of times.
Yeah, look, I think you heard a lot of commentary this week from the coaching staff, Darrell Bevell and Urban Meyer, about Trevor Lawrence specifically. Like, hey, we're getting some guys open on third down. We got to hit those plays. And yes, there are going to be instances when he doesn't have time, when guys are covered, when guys run the wrong route, whatever the case may be. But when you have those, Trevor Lawrence has that level of ability that we expect him to be able to hit those open throws, recognize them, move the stick. So he knows it. He's got to be better on third down as well. And I was glad to hear the coaching staff not exclude him from the commentary this week.
Favorable down and distance, as we said, would help on some of those third downs. Having the starting running back would help those early downs. James Robinson this week on last week's pregame try to go for it. Didn't get to play last week. And what it will take to get that heel ready this time.
Last week I tried to go a little bit, but today was kind of like my first real practice. Felt a little bit better. I still feel a little bit, but I'm about to go in the training room right now. So, I don't want to go out there and be thinking about my heels, so I want to be 100%.
That's James Robinson on Thursday, the audio courtesy of First Coast News. And, when he's out there, it's just a different feeling offense. Reports this morning it's a game-time decision. Well, the game's coming up quick, so they'll decide here pretty soon.
Yeah, we'll find out soon enough. You can't underestimate the importance he has to this football team, JP. I mean, who knows how the Seattle game would have gone. He was off to averaging 5.5 yards a carry early on with a 17-yard reception thrown in, and the Jags never had to play that long the rest of the game. So let's hope he can be out there, and not only be out there, but be the James Robinson we've come to expect.
Those are some of today's top stories. A few more coming up in the second hour of the Publix Tailgate Show. And time now for our weekly segment with Emmanuel Thallerin, known as E.T., where we hear directly from you, the Jaguars fans. This is Come On Somebody, Come On Everybody.
Good morning, Jacksonville, and welcome to a very special edition of Come On Somebody, Come On Everybody. So hear me out. It's not often we get to do this. It's not often we get to pull up on a Sunday morning, pour our Maxwell House coffee or Hennessy after a big win like we did last week. Ain't nobody expect them Jaguars to do what they do. But you know what them Jaguars did? We bust their head to the white meat.
Bills Mafia, thanks for stopping by and enjoying the weather. Now take your butt back up north. Go Jags!
Thanks for stimulating the economy. And shout out to my dog, Josh Allen, the 7th overall pick in the 2019 draft, Josh Allen. The AFC Defensive Player of the Week and Jacksonville Jaguars' very own Joshua Allen. Fun fact. With that 8 solo tackle, interception, fumble recovery, and sack on the opposing quarterback with your same-name performance, Josh Allen became the 17th player in franchise history to win the AFC Defensive Player of the Week honors. Congrats, my boy! My mama always told me to celebrate all your victories, but don't get lost in them. And that being said, we sliding to Indianapolis. Let's keep this momentum going. Come on, somebody.
Rudy. Come on, Urban. Put Rudy in the starting lineup.
We definitely need that same energy in the defensive lineup. That boy Rudy Ford was balling. Come on, somebody.
Hey, E.T., it's Mary.
Hey, Miss Mary.
I think one of the keys to victory is for Shaq Griffin to have his boombox with him throughout every game.
Hold on, what? Tell me a little more about this boombox.
We won in London. We have the boombox afterwards. That's what we need. Boombox City.
Boombox City?
Who want to eat a W?
I want to eat a W.
Momentum, flow mental, throw it, Trevor, throw it.
Hold on. What's about to happen right now?
Flowing like them locks, baby. Knock the socks out.
I could tell you was about to drop some bars or something on me by the way you said throw it, Trevor, throw it. You had that funk in your voice, boy.
Yeah.
Come on, somebody.
And this is a courtesy call to renew your warranty before we close the file.
What did I tell y'all about calling my work phone?
Press 9 to be removed from our list.
Oh, press 9? Bet. When I say come on, somebody, I am not talking about y'all. Leave me alone. They trying to knock me off my pivot, Jacksonville, but it ain't gonna happen. Now let's get back to the matter at hand. Jaguars, let's keep this momentum going. Y'all see what a dub does to this city? Let's keep doing it. Come on, somebody. Come on, everybody. Except for you scam lightly bugs out there. Stay off my line. Duval!
That's Emmanuel Thallerant, E.T. Yeah. They'll get you every time,
man. Every single time. As soon as he cracks the mic, I just get a big smile on my face. My man brings it every day.
Those robocalls will get you. You can't get away from them.
And they'll track you down, Jay. Whatever happened to the do not call list, by the way?
That's a good question.
You know, it worked for a while, but just kind of went away.
If it's a robot, do they have to follow the rule?
Do not know.
Don't know the rule. Of course, you can get your thoughts in each week on ET's call-in line, 904-207-7071. And we're just getting started on the Publix Tailgate Show. It's Week 10, and coming up at 10:37.
All 11 stopped the run. It's not just the D-line. When we stop the run, it's all 11.
That's Joe Cullen, defensive coordinator, on the challenge ahead today against the Colts running game. Up next, though, our good friend Andrew Catalon of CBS Sports. He has the call again today for the Jags and the Colts in Week 10 at Lucas Oil Stadium. And this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
Shopping Publix with delivery and curbside pickup powered by Instacart makes getting your groceries more convenient than ever. It's basically the best thing since sliced bread, which you can order from the Publix bakery. You can also get fresh meats and cheeses from the deli, delicious produce, and Publix premium ice cream, all without having to leave your couch or car. Orders are available in as little as 2 hours. Prices vary from in-store. Fees, tips, and taxes may apply. Subject to terms and availability. Visit Publix.com/shop. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Hey Jags fans, heading to TIAA Bank for a game? Take advantage of Jags Pay and keep your stadium transactions touch-free. Jags Pay is an all-new partnership between the Jaguars and Tap It to give our fans a contactless payment option for all concessions and merchandise. It's fast, safe, and easy to use. Just download the official Jaguars app on any mobile device, tap Jags Pay, and set up your secure payment method. You're all set. To learn more, visit jaguars.com/JagsPay. See you at the bank.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
The original pizza logs are a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars and available at the stadium on game day. You'll find those delicious gourmet pizza egg rolls at concession stands, clubs, and suites. For all their products, be sure to check out pizzalogs.com and have them delivered right to your home. That's pizzalogs.com.
Put down the burger, put down the dog. Pick up the original pizza log. There's only one. The original pizza log. Yeah.
Everyone's so busy keeping up. Forget about the Joneses. We all on our telephones with the texts and the tweets and the beats. What he said, she said, can't even follow the thread. Down the hole, we all go. Me, I like keeping up too, with my Corona and my attitude. That's La Vida Más Fina.
Relax responsibly. Corona Extra Beer. Imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah. You live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over. Your insurance goes up. You lose your license. You total your car. You kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Paid for by FDOT.
Jaguars Game Day presented by ViStar Credit Union. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. The Publix Tailgate Show continues. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. The Jaguars visit the Indianapolis Colts today. The home team in the series has won the last 7 meetings. And the last Jags win in Indy, Mike, Week 7 of 2017. TJ Yeldon went over 100 yards that day. Blake Bortles over 300 passing with a touchdown. The Jags defense allowed only 232 yards to the Colts. The Jags shut them out at Lucas Oil Stadium.
We'll take that. I mean, look, that's basically what it took last week, right? So hopefully the offense won't make it necessary to have a shutout today, JP. But, I think Carson Wentz is the kind of quarterback that you could force into some mistakes. So if they get a pass rush like they got on Josh Allen, I think the Jags have a very good chance today.
Jags defense last week reminiscent of 2017 takeaways, pressure. Well, that was a 2017 performance the last time the Jags won in Indy. They could use that again today. CBS Sports, of course, has the game today. Andrew Catalon has the call once again. We caught up with him this week. Back-to-back weeks with Andrew Catalon. And a winning result last week for the Jaguars. I know you're neutral, but hey, you can do every Jaguars game from here on out, in my opinion.
That seemed to be the sentiment I received on Twitter. So I hope that even if they lose this week, people will still be friendly to me.
It feels like a big ball game for Urban Meyer this week. They're all big. It's the NFL. I understand that. But coming off a win, they don't have a bye week this week. They've got to go play on the road against a division rival that's still in it, that still wants it. The Colts are right there. They feel like they can get back in the wild card race at least. But if they somehow snag 2 straight against teams that are in it and want it, that solidifies the message that Urban Meyer has been sending all offseason and now into the season halfway through.
I agree with you, JP, but I'll also say this. If they don't win the game on Sunday, I don't think that diminishes the significance of the victory they had against Buffalo. I think that there's lasting impacts of that win a week ago, even if they don't follow it up with a win this week. So absolutely, if they're able to piece, especially a division win now on the road against what I think is a very good Colts team, even though they're 4-5, I think that's massive. But I wouldn't say, oh, they wasted the momentum of that game against Buffalo, because I think that they'll remember that even in the offseason and can build off of that.
We talked last week going into the game. The Bills were among the top teams and maybe the favorite in the AFC going in. They were exploited. They couldn't run the ball. They don't really ever run the ball, and the Jaguars defense took advantage of that. Bunch of different pressure looks. Josh Allen had a career day. So did Rudy Ford. So did some other players on this team, and they just smothered the Bills. Now the question is that sustainable for the immediate future on defense?
I mean, I think you give Joe Cullen a ton of credit for the game plan that he put together last week. I know he mentioned that he took some pieces of what was successful for Baltimore the last couple of years and used it again against Buffalo. And I mean, they were the more physical unit on the field. And I think that is something they could duplicate going forward, to establish the line of scrimmage, to play physical football. And then you mentioned Rudy Ford flying all over the field. I mean, there was a lot to like about that defensive performance last week. And I think they can ride that momentum for a while here. I think that they really have some building blocks that they can use going forward.
Different challenge this week against the Colts offense that turns around and hands it off to Jonathan Taylor. He's second in the league in rushing yards, and with a decent day can overtake Derrick Henry for the league lead in rushing yardage this season. Taylor put up 253 on this Jaguars team in week 17 last year, so we know firsthand if he gets outside the tackles and gets loose, good night and good luck.
Yeah, he is really emerging as one of the best running backs in the NFL, and especially with Henry's sideline. You mentioned it. He could overtake him for the rushing lead. He is such a workhorse in that backfield. He accepts the responsibility that they put on his shoulders. Oh, by the way, he can also beat you in the passing game. He has a 76-yard reception this season. He's an absolute game breaker, and he's only in his second year. I think the Jaguars are going to have to deal with him for a while. But, to me, the improvement for Indianapolis has been with Carson Wentz in that passing game. Michael Pittman has started to make a name for himself. Mo Alley Cox at tight end. Look, they are a run-first team in the sense of what Frank Reich wants their MO to be. But now you're seeing that they have other ways to beat you. And something's really clicked. They started 0-3, and now the red zone is better. Wentz has been better outside of a couple of, big mistakes he's made this season. And it's a very talented offense that is capable, as we saw against the Jets last week, putting up a lot of points in a hurry.
And the Jaguars offense has not been able to put up many points this year to keep up with a scoring offense like that in Indianapolis. In fact, it's been a talking point this week, the big plays, all season, I guess, the lack of big plays on offense. Only 12 passing plays of 25 or more yards for the season for the Jaguars. That's near the bottom, not the bottom. Chicago's the bottom on that stat in the NFL. The question is, how do you fix it? And Urban said this week, hey, hand it off different ways, short passes, you got to kind of maybe trick it out a little bit more. That's the only thing left. You're not going to bring in new personnel at this point in the season. You got to find a way because it's hard to do 10, 12, 15 play drives in the NFL.
Yeah, no doubt. I think they have to take some shots down the field and see what happens. Try to manufacture some momentum on offense, whether that's trick plays or deep balls or whatever the case may be. They cannot continue to put themselves in these third and long situations. I mean, their third down percentage is the worst in the NFL, and a lot of it comes in third and long. So I agree. It's time, and look, James Robinson was out last week. I think him coming back will certainly help get him in maybe some more third and short situations. But ultimately, and Urban Meyer said it this week, as you referenced, JP, it's not sustainable to not have the deep ball. I mean, there's got to be at least the threat of that in their offense. And we'll see if they break it out this week against a Colts secondary that is banged up. Their starting safeties are on injured reserve. Their corners are not at full strength. I mean, there could be some opportunities against the back end of that Colts secondary coming up today.
This is a Colts defense that's number one in the league in takeaways, 20 of them, 10 interceptions, 10 fumble recoveries. And the big problem in the middle of that defense is Darius Leonard, the linebacker, of course. 4 forced fumbles this year. He's fourth in the league in takeaways solo, 2 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries. They punch it out. They go after the football all day long, and that's a theme of this Colts defense. They're going to try to, get the ball any way they can. Extra layer of protection if you can against this Colts defense.
I mean, if you watch Darius Leonard, he actually runs with his hand in a fist because he is ready to punch out the ball at any moment. So there's no doubt ball security has to be put at a premium. And if you look at Trevor Lawrence, one of the nice areas of improvement has been the turnovers. The interceptions are down compared to the first 3 games of the season in a big way, but also it's got to be holding on to the football. We saw Carlos Hyde lose one last week against Buffalo. That is certainly priority number 1 against this opportunistic Indianapolis defense.
Okay, we asked you last week the top team in the AFC, and you said the Buffalo Bills. How about now after last week's result?
Oh, man, week-to-week league, right? And I also was very high the Raiders going into last week. And then, with the Ruggs situation, and then they didn't play well against the Giants. I think it's wide open. I really do. I mean, it's got to be Tennessee right now, you would say. But Henry's out. But the wins that Tennessee has put together the last 4 weeks have been really impressive. And their defense is really what's getting the job done for them. So I'd go with Tennessee right now, but we know how quickly things can change.
A lot of football left. Always appreciate the time, Andrew. Have a great call.
All right, JP, great chatting with you again.
Andrew Cattle on CBS Sports. Yeah, the AFC does feel a little bit open. Now, if Tennessee can put together wins like they did last week without Henry and keep that up, then, hey, Tennessee might be the powerhouse of the AFC, but everybody else is kind of bunched up together.
Right. Well, I mean, but that's big if you're Tennessee, right? Because at 7-2, you've got head-to-heads with Kansas City and Buffalo in your favor, so those are direct tiebreakers for the playoffs, home field advantage. Only one team gets it in each conference, JP, and they've been very impressive without Henry beating the LA Rams like they did. Julio Jones going on injured reserve yesterday. He wasn't having a big year anyway. I think Tennessee is right now has to be considered the favorite in the AFC.
Plenty ahead on the Publix Tailgate Show coming up at 10:48.
I'm just going to take advantage of every opportunity I get. I just want to keep building. I just want to keep building, keep showing what I can do to help this team, help this organization.
That's Rudy Ford, Jaguars safety turned nickel in last week's game, and I'm going to guess moving forward as well after a great performance. Up next, though, we'll hear from Jaguars defensive coordinator Joe Cullen as he sits down with Brian Sexton. The Jags and the Colts in Week 10 coming up, and this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
Your family isn't like anyone else's. Your home shouldn't be either. At Dreamfinders Homes, you can build the home of your dreams in one of their 30-plus communities in Northeast Florida. Choose from luxury single-family homes or maintenance-free townhomes from the 200s. Dreamfinders specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. To find out more, call 904-738-0165 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
Great teams leave it all on the field. But with the powerful towing and payload that Ford F-150 delivers, you can take it all with you, too. No wonder Ford F-Series is America's best-selling truck 44 years straight. The 2021 Ford F-150, built for greatness. Visit your local Ford dealer or buyfordnow.com. Based on 1977 to 2020 calendar year total sales.
Hi, I'm Tito Beveridge, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, we became the first micro distillery in the state of Texas, and we're still making the same smooth stuff after all these years. We're still cooking in a pot still, working with our dogs by our sides, having fun and tasting batches, and I'm still wearing the same hat, even after all these years. Head over to Tito'sVodka.com to learn more about what else we're doing the same. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
You say there's nothing quite like the feel of the open road when you ride a motorcycle. You know it takes concentration, knowledge, and skills beyond those required to drive a car. Ride Smart Florida would like to take this opportunity to remind you to enjoy the road, but to always ride smart. S-M-A-R-T. Say no to drinking and riding. Make yourself more visible to motorists. Always wear your helmet. Ride in control. Train regularly and get endorsed. Visit RideSmartFlorida.com for more details. Do you ride smart? This message is provided by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Kessler Creative, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, has the print services you need for your business. Need large banners and signs for your next promotional event? How about vehicle wraps to advertise your company fleet? Find out for yourself how Kessler Creative can help you stand out from the competition with eye-catching designs that are sure to impress your customers. Kessler Creative, Jacksonville, Florida. Results-driven marketing and a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The Publix Tailgate Show continues. JP Shadrick along with Mike Dempsey at TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. The Jags and the Colts coming up in week number 10. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff time at Lucas Oil Stadium. And as we mentioned, Jonathan Taylor, second in the league in rushing yards, first in the league in yards per rush outside the tackles, just under 8 yards a carry, about 7.7. If he gets outside, he can, and he most likely will take the distance if you let him get loose. That can be an issue. The Jaguars defense, though, if they've struggled in other areas, they've been solid against the run this year. Only one back has gone over 100 yards against them. That was Derrick Henry. So we'll see if they can continue that trend today. Let's go around the National Football League, Mike.
All right, let's JP with the 2-6 Jags facing the 4-5 Colts in Indy. Today, there's only one other game involving an AFC South team on the schedule. Division-leading Tennessee puts their 7-2 mark on the line. They host the 5-3 New Orleans Saints today. Tennessee placing wide receiver Julio Jones on injured reserve yesterday with a hamstring injury. New Orleans will send out Trevor Siemian for his second straight start in place of the injured Jameis Winston. Meanwhile, 1-8 Houston is on a bye. Just a day after signing free agent wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr., the LA Rams find out that they will be without starting wide receiver Robert Woods for the rest of the season. Woods tore an ACL during Friday's practice with the Rams. Head coach Sean McVay says that OBJ has a chance to play this week as the Rams travel to San Francisco to take on the 49ers on Monday Night Football. Elsewhere, Pittsburgh placed Ben Roethlisberger on the COVID-19 reserve list yesterday. So that means Mason Rudolph will start at quarterback for the Steelers when they host the winless Lions today. Rudolph is 5-4 in 9 starts for Pittsburgh over the past 2 seasons. Other quarterback news with Sam Darnold struggling and now injured. The Carolina Panthers have brought back former NFL MVP Cam Newton on a contract that could be worth up to $10 million for the rest of the season. P.J. Walker expected to start today for Carolina as they take on the Cardinals in Arizona. Panthers coach Matt Rule says it's possible they could have a package of plays in for Newton as early as today. Meanwhile, 2 of the league's best quarterbacks are set to face off in Green Bay when the Packers host the Seahawks today. Seattle quarterback Russell Wilson makes his return from a broken finger, while Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers returns after a 1-game absence due to a positive COVID test. And finally, the Arizona Cardinals have doubts as to whether or not Kyler Murray can suit up today, said to be a true game-time decision. That would be the second consecutive game he would have missed. Of course, Colt McCoy helped the Cardinals to a win last week, so not a sense of desperation in the desert where Arizona is 8-1 to start the year.
Hey, having our look around the National Football League in week number 10. And, of course, check out the official Jags Podcast Network. It's free on Apple iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you download your podcasts. And let's hear from Jaguars defensive coordinator Joe Cullen. They've got their hands full this week against a Colts offense that can run the daylights out of it. He sat down this week with Jaguars senior correspondent Brian Sexton.
A distinct challenge today with Jonathan Taylor, who is right there with Derrick Henry in terms of production this season. Tell me what it is you see in this cat and what it is that it's going to take to stop him.
Well, first of all, great to be on with you, Brian. Very simple. He's one of those guys that he can run you over, and then if he does get a hole, he can go to the house in like 0.2. He's fast, really fast. He's powerful. 225, 4.3. He can roll. He's a threat out of the backfield in terms of the pass game on the screens. He's a threat downhill. He can get the ball in the perimeter. I think what it's going to take is like any week. I mean, you talk about the great backs in the league. All 11 stop the run. It's not just the D-line. When we stop the run, it's all 11. So we got to be gap sound, number one. We got to play with great fundamentals, pad level, downhill with the linebackers, striking people, and being able to almost play your gap, but then helping, if he cuts back. And then if he does break one, we got to get him down. And that's the big thing. I think we've been doing that pretty well through the course of the year. So we just got to continue to do it. But it's going to be a major challenge.
Joe, we talked in training camp this summer, and I kept asking, is the run defense better? Is the run defense better? Because, quite frankly, this run defense in Jacksonville the last 2.5 seasons hasn't been very good. What did you do? Why? Who, what, how is this run defense performing at such a high level this season so far?
Well, first of all, sometimes, we brought in some bigger people. That's number one. But the scheme is really the strength of it, like in base situations, is to really make you one-dimensional and throw the football. So that's the big thing over the years. And everyone kind of says a year 3-4, year 4-3. It's hard to run on a 3-4. It's hard to run on anything if you're good fundamentally and you're good at tackling. But I think the guys are just all bought into how we want to play the run, being gap sound, and like I said, there's going to be a run that breaks. But I really believe our secondary is really doing a great job tackling people on the perimeter when it does break. And Damian Wilson has been a key figure. I mean, we've had Miles. We know Miles can make great plays. He's physical, but Damian's a guy that we targeted really for that role. A first, second down, to be the thumper in the middle, the Mike that's 245 that can take blockers on, and he's I think he's playing his best football of his career.
We've talked all week about Josh Allen, and Dwan Smoot has gotten a lot of attention too for his strong performance. But Urban Meyer has talked about the guys in the middle: Devon Hamilton, Roy Robertson Harris, Taven Bryan. Can you give us a sense of where that group is now that Roy Robertson Harris is back?
Well, obviously losing Roy hurt, in the stretch that we didn't have him. And I felt all along that Josh and Smoot were really winning their one-on-one battles. But I think what's developed the last couple of weeks, really the last 3 weeks, is the inside guys are getting more push. You talk about Roy, you talk about Adam. Gosh, he's done a great job. Hamilton, Malcolm, Jihad Ward when he's in there. They've done a really good job, especially last week, not letting, Josh Allen, the quarterback, step up in the pocket. And we got to do the same thing and continue to do the same thing.
You've got an interesting group in the back end. You've got some veteran guys that you brought in as free agents, and you've got some young guys whom you're bringing along. Tell me about the switch to playing some more zone. And I know that's been a big story the last couple of weeks, but how has tweaking the defense, Coach, given you a couple of really solid performances since the win in London?
Well, I think, like anything, if you're playing a guy like Derrick Henry, you got to try to load the box or shoot this week as well. But, playing more zone, you get more eyes on the quarterback, the rushing coverage working together. And we've played them all along in every game. But I just think really now our guys are familiar with each other. We've made some changes. We put Rudy in there as the full-time nickel. He had been the dime. He's probably our fastest guy on the team. So when you're visioning breaking and then you have a guy like that running the ball, our underneath guys breaking on the ball, our cover guys being able to get deeper, show a two-shell more. And then when we're playing cover one, they did a great job last week in all their disguises, and we just got to continue to develop with that. But I think it goes week to week, Brian, and you got to have both. We opened the game last week with man, and they were running RPOs, and everybody was covered, and he had nowhere to throw the ball. So it just goes hand in hand. We had some zero blitzes. We had some fire zones. So you try to not be one-dimensional and try to change it up as much as you can.
Judd, it's hard to believe we're in mid-November and there's still 9 weeks left in this season. That's a long time. So as a final thought, you got your finger on the pulse of this team right now. What's the next 9 weeks look like for this club? Improvement?
Yes, absolutely. I think we've, you take away the first game, which was really bad, and we I think we've made steps and improved each game. Even in the Seattle game, we took a step back, but there were some really good things in the game if you look at it as a whole, but not the way we wanted to end up. And I think, like I told the guys last week, really, it's a 10-week season right now. That's what's left, and Buffalo was the first one on that schedule. Forget about everything and learn from what's happened in the past and just try to be the best, like Coach talked about, the best you can be. At practice, in the meeting room, at the game. So I really believe, a win like that could propel you and continue to develop and continue to improve. You're never as bad as you think you are or people say you are, or never as good as you think or people say you are. So I think, the big thing is trying to improve, do the things that take no talent, run to the football as good as you can run, attack the football, okay, and tackle. If you do those 3 things, all the other things will really come to life.
Defensive coordinator Joe Cullen, it's great to have you back in Jacksonville. Best of luck in Indianapolis.
Well, I appreciate that, and great to be back, Brian. Thank you.
That's Joe Cullen, of course, the Jaguars defensive coordinator, his first coordinator experience, and last week Really had some great looks for the Buffalo Bills and got a lot accomplished, of course. Held the top-scoring offense in the NFL to only 6 points last week. And if you're looking for the MVP of the truck game, look no further than Ford F-150. Loaded with impressive capability and designed to dominate work, play, and everything in between, this truck makes tough look easy. No wonder it's the official truck of the NFL and proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars. We're back in a moment with Jags safety Rudy Ford in our Baptist Health Visit with a Player. Add another hour of the Publix Tailgate Show at 11 o'clock. We'll take a look at today's top headlines headed into week number 10. The Jags and the Colts coming up. And this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
Yingling Traditional Lager. The beer for drinkers who know how to tap into their inner eagle and spread their wings. So prepare yourself for takeoff and let your night take flight. When your lips meet that cold, crisp amber lager, there's no looking back. So fly over the radar. Tonight's about the lager, and this lager is all about soaring higher. Yingling Traditional Lager. Spread your wings. DJ Yingling & Son, Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Please drink responsibly.
Are you a Jags and a pet fanatic? Then enter for a chance to win your very own customized jersey and answer game day trivia live on the TIAA Bank Field video boards at an upcoming Jaguars home game and our Pet Fanatic of the Game sweepstakes presented by Pet Paradise. To enter, scan the QR code on the Sky Patio or go to jaguars.com/fanatic. Terms and conditions apply. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. Must be 18 or older and a legal resident of Florida or Georgia.
Introducing Ultimate Jags, the free-to-play next-level fantasy football game. Open packs, collect players, build your roster, and pick your weekly lineup. Scratch and claw your way up the leaderboard and compete against Jags fans for fantastic prizes. Download Ultimate Jags now from the App Store and Google Play and get ready to win.
At VyStar Credit Union, you inspire us to deliver on our promise, to do good for our members and our communities. That's why we offer more banking options, like better rates and no hidden fees. We also give back, donating several $1 million to hundreds of nonprofits each year. Better financial lives, stronger communities. VyStar Credit Union. Do good. Bank better. Visit vystarcu.org/join. Insured by NCUA.
Some things make a house your home. Like endless hot water that makes the tranquility from an everyday shower your thing. When heating water with natural gas, you have hot water when you need it, save money, and earn a rebate up to $675. Your home. Our safe, reliable, efficient energy. Love natural gas. Find rebate details at peoplesgas.com.
Committed to the team. Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. So our policies have no fine print and no military service restrictions. We don't work on commission. We're nonprofit, so we pass the savings along to our members. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org. Navy Mutual, insuring those who serve.
Jaguars Game Day presented by VyStar Credit Union. The Publix Tailgate Show continues. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey, the Jags and the Colts. At 1 o'clock, the Jags defense third in the league in yards per carry allowed, Mike, 3.8. Derrick Henry, as we mentioned, the only player to rush for over 100 yards against the Jags back in week number 5. Let's keep that trend going today. That'd be nice.
Well, it's going to be necessary. I mean, one defense you play against Buffalo is not necessarily going to work against Indianapolis. Buffalo doesn't even want to really try to run the ball. You're able to play a shell, force them to pass underneath. I think the Colts would be content to take that all day long and get Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines, by the way, loose, another very dangerous back out of that backfield.
And both, in the passing game are effective as well. Another player effective for the Jags on defense last week, Rudy Ford. This guy came in as a special teams ace, and he started at nickel last week and He was fantastic. A career high in tackles, only his third career start. It's his fifth season in the league, and he played like he's been there for a long time.
Oh, apparently we need to sign more guys only for special teams. Jamal Agnew is one of the best receivers on the team now. Rudy Ford was a dynamic playmaker and, playing nickel corner, dime linebacker, still has a role on special teams. So hopefully he can hold up and keep up that level of play.
Time for our Baptist Health visit with a player. Baptist Health, changing healthcare for good. Here's Rudy Ford. Coming off that game in Seattle and then getting back on track against a really good offense with the Bills. What was the key to the victory on Sunday?
The key was, we was going to play a really, really good football team. And, we just kind of worked, and we're a really good football team too. We still building each other. But our key was really just come in and focus and just play our best football, to go out there and play complimentary football across the board.
They moved you to nickel, I think, for the first time. You'd been having the last few weeks out on defense a little bit more as the weeks have gone along, but here you are at nickel. It takes a different kind of physicality. What kind of different mindset is that position?
It's very it's just like corner and linebacker hybrid. I want to be physical also in the run game and also be able to cover just like a corner.
You in your past, when you started in college, you showed up at Auburn as a running back, a 4-star running back, and made the transition over after a year or so under Will Muschamp at Auburn to safety. And, since you've been in the league, it's been mainly special teams with you. I think this was your third career NFL start in the secondary this past week. That's quite a transition, right? Take us back to the Auburn days. Going from running back to safety, was that natural for you? How did that happen?
It was natural, but also just I had good coaches around me, and just kind of taught me the position also.
You're still playing special teams as well. You're starting at nickel last week, and then you go down the field and make a special teams tackle as well. The balance of doing both, what kind of workload is that for you?
It's a real workload, but I always gotta just continue to keep my body prepared, make sure I get all the maintenance work just so I can keep going.
Urban Meyer said you're the best coverage player he's seen on special teams. I think he meant college and pro. That's saying something. So when you're lining up to cover a kick down the field, what's going through your mind when the ball snaps? My
mindset would be I just want to make sure I beat the guy right in front of me. If it's two, then make sure I put myself in position to beat the guy right in front of me. That's kind of my mindset. It's not really that much to it. It's like who's going. We working our craft against each other, and whose craft is going to be a little bit better.
Rudy, it's your third team in the National Football League. Of course, you signed here in the offseason. Your path to this point, is this, considering the defensive play of last week and what could be ahead for you, is this kind of your big breakout moment? Do you see it that way? And how do you take advantage of this opportunity moving ahead personally?
I'm just going to take advantage of every opportunity that I get. And, I just want to keep building. I just want to keep building, keep showing what I can do to help this team, help this organization. And, I'm thankful for Coach Urban Meyer and also thankful for Joe Cullen and also thankful for my position coaches and my teammates, just continue to trust in me to go out and help this organization.
Final thought with you here, Rudy. Going into a divisional game on the road this week against a really good Indianapolis Colts offense. They run the ball a lot. What kind of challenge is this week with Taylor and those guys in there? And it seems like this defense has a lot of confidence right now.
It's a good challenge. They got two great running backs, good O-line, good football team, physical all around the board. So we got to go and continue to prepare and make sure we're in the right position, the best we can to go and to prepare to win. But they're a really great football team, and we're just gonna prepare for them.
Rudy, great stuff. Thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Rudy Ford out of Auburn, third NFL team. Nice find in free agency. And they went after him for his special teams ability, but that physicality and his ability to go down and tackle people translates to defense. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, big time. Look, the Jags have had a glaring need in the secondary, particularly early in the season. They're not getting good play there. JP. So the option was there to go to Rudy Ford. He took advantage of it. And you mentioned that tackling. It was contagious last week. That was the best open field tackling we've seen from a Jaguar team in several years. So let's hope that holds up because they're going to need it again today with Jonathan Taylor the way he's running.
Time now for our weekly commentary from Jags sideline reporter Rick Baloo, and we call it Has Rick Lost It?
Can the Jaguars win on the road? As of late, that has been tough in this rivalry. The home team has actually won the last 7 in this series. Jacksonville's 5 out of the last 8 overall. But it's this building. It's Lucas Oil Stadium where the Colts have won 7 out of the last 8. I don't know if it's the echoes of the alleged piped-in sound. I don't know if it's when the Colts run out of the field to the Who's won't get fooled again. You know, when Roger Daltrey screams, I think of H. I think of Horatio Caine with CSI Miami. Is that weird? Perhaps. What's not weird is the fact that the Colts have really feasted on teams with losing records. They're 4-0 against those teams so far this year. They started 0-3, but all of a sudden they've won 4 out of their last 6. They lead the NFL with 20 takeaways. They've also put up 30-plus points in 4 straight games, 25-plus points in 6 straight games. They're led by Philadelphia's forgotten man, Carson Wentz, really playing some very good football ever since he has been reunited with Frank Reich. As a matter of fact, he's only one of 5 quarterbacks in the NFL with a quarterback rating of 100 or better in 6 different games this year, joining the likes of Brady, Murray, Burrow, Stafford. I never would have guessed that. How about you? As great as the defense was last week against Buffalo, you can't expect that again today. You got to score. Put up 7 2 weekends ago in Seattle, 9 last week against Buffalo. This is a huge opportunity for Trevor Lawrence. He hasn't had a game where he has thrown multiple touchdown passes since the opener against Houston. The Colts are really bad when it comes to that particular statistic. They've allowed 23 touchdown passes this year. That is number 1 in the NFL. We'll find out officially about James Robinson. That'll be coming up here momentarily. Let's hope that he can play and that they have a balanced attack. But really, this afternoon, it's about Trevor Lawrence. It's about finding his wide receivers, finding Dan Arnold. And let's face it, they're going to have to put up a big number today if they're going to pull up an upset in consecutive weeks. JP?
All right, Rick, thank you very much. Rick Baloo, Jaguars sideline reporter with Has Rick Lost It? The Jaguars and the Indianapolis Colts coming up. And PRI Productions, the official event production company of the Jags, has everything you need to bring your next idea to life. Visit PRIProductions.com. Coming up, it's the second hour of the Publix Tailgate Show. We'll get our top stories of the week. Plus, Jaguars and NFL Network analyst Bucky Brooks gives us his thoughts headed into Week 10. And we'll head to the broadcast booth in Indianapolis. Tony Baselli and Jeff Lageman will join us as well. The Jags and the Colts at 1 o'clock in Indianapolis today. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio. Hiring qualified veterans and helping veterans grow their businesses isn't just the right thing to do, it's also good business. Fiserv Salutes provides the military community with career opportunities, education resources, and business solutions for veteran-owned businesses, including free processing on Independence and Veterans holidays. To find out how Fiserv helps veteran-owned businesses and their career opportunities, visit Fiserv.com and follow them on Twitter and Instagram at Fiserv, an official military partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
Crown Royal's That Deserves a Crown program recognizes local heroes for making a positive impact in the community. The Jaguars and Crown Royal are giving back to those who served this season, celebrating these individuals with the ultimate VIP Jaguars home game experience. Nominate someone who deserves a crown today at jaguars.com/Crown Royal Promotion. Please drink responsibly.
So we had a problem with our office IT systems a few months back. And of course, I don't want the boss getting upset about it, since she still hasn't forgiven me for last month's wardrobe malfunction. So I did the smart thing and called Sassine's Office Systems. They've provided top-notch IT solutions and services since 1981, including Canon copiers, printers, and mailing solutions. They even handle wide-format printers and electronic document storage, which is important since my boss still hasn't forgiven me for the birthday cake incident. Best of all, Sassine's Office Systems has flexible support programs, certified field techs, and fast, friendly service for one flat monthly fee. And saving money is always a good thing, especially since my boss still hasn't forgiven me for my parachute pants presentation. I was actually wearing parachute pants.
Trust Sassine's Office Systems to handle your IT equipment and office systems, including Canon-connected copiers and printers. Learn more at sassines.com. That's SISSINES.com.
What do the players and coaches of the Jacksonville Jaguars have in common with your local tradesmen? Hard work, dedication, and passion to perfect their craft. Never giving up or surrendering until each minor detail is perfect. The J-Tech team are some of the biggest Jaguars fans you'll ever meet. If you're interested in a career in the trades, head over to jtech.org and learn more about what they offer.
The Publix Tailgate Show continues right now.
Jaguars Game Day presented by ViStar Credit Union. It's hour 2 of the Publix Tailgate Show. We're 2 hours away from Week 10. The Jacksonville Jaguars at 2-6 and the Indianapolis Colts at 5-6. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey, and the Jags trying to bounce back and keep this momentum from a winning result last week over a team that nobody, or very few people, picked the Jaguars to even have a chance in against the Bills. They come through over 2 touchdown underdogs and get the win over the Bills. Now they're heavy underdogs again on the road in Indianapolis. They haven't won there in a number of years. Go do it again, right?
Why not? Had a lot of teams fall that were 7-point favorites or more last week, and it just goes to show you, JP, sometimes the adage of any given Sunday actually comes in. It did last week. Look, the defense doesn't need to bounce back. They just need to maintain. Going to shift things up. I'm sure the looks are going to give Indianapolis based on the kind of offense they like to run. But, if they can hold them down, let's say 17 or less, you've got to feel like you've got a really good chance to win in the National Football League. The question is, can the Jaguars offense get to 20 or even more today? It's been a struggle to score points consistently of late. Hopefully James Robinson will be available. But let's not forget, Laviska Shenault, in a season and a half, has scored 5 touchdowns. 3 of those came in the 2 games last year against Indianapolis. So he's a guy we haven't talked a lot about this week because he's kind of taken a little bit of a back seat in the passing game. Maybe this is a reemergence game today for Laviska.
I like that. Game day weather presented by roofclaim.com. Protection made simple in Indianapolis today. It's 34 and snowing. But thanks to Peyton Manning, they have a retractable roof stadium. It's Lucas Oil Stadium. The roof is closed, obviously, today, and they'll have heated comfort inside the dome. Here in Jacksonville today, it is a bit chilly this morning, 55 degrees, a high of 64, and clear skies expected today here in Jacksonville. Of course, the Jaguars at 2-6, the Colts at 4-5. Here are today's top stories, starting with head coach Urban Meyer, looking for big plays on offense. But aren't we all?
Yeah, I think who you give the ball to, who you hand the ball to, you flip the ball to. Ag's a guy that every time he touches it, and so is Laviska, so we got to be smart. Those guys are kind of big play guys, maybe not so much out at the one position, but maybe at other positions. And I believe Dan Arnold has big play potential, and I don't believe we're utilizing him enough yet.
Well, Dan Arnold is tied for the most targets and receiving yards since he's joined the Jaguars of any Jaguars receiver or tight end or running back or anybody. And the Jags are near the bottom of the league in passing plays of 25 yards or more, only 12 for the season. Rushing plays of 10-plus yards, 23. That's middle of the pack in the league. The Jags in the passing category are 25th in the NFL. they just haven't been able to consistently get it down the field.
Well, look, Dan Arnold's been a nice pickup. There's no question about it, JP, and he's great for this team because they had a big hole at the tight end position. But I think if you were honest about it, and I know I'm not saying you particularly, if one was honest about it, and you took the wide receivers and tight ends from this team and you threw them in with all the other ones in the National Football League, and you were just selecting groups in terms of the most explosive, they'd be down near the bottom, quite frankly. So this is on Darrell Bevell to scheme up some big plays. He was able to do that last week, but the players let him down. Jamal Agnew dropped what would have been a nice long touchdown from C.J. Beathard, and Trevor Lawrence missed Marvin Jones on another, what would have been a walk-in score as well. So some of those plays are there, just your margin for error. You have to capitalize on the shots that you get.
Let's hear from offensive coordinator Darrell Bevell. He wants those big plays also.
Both of those two things are really critical factors. You have to be able to convert third down, stay on the field, and to think that you're going to go 10, 12 plays against all these NFL defenses is, it's hard to hang your hat on that, right? And so we need to be able to find those explosive plays, something we talk about all the time, and something that we're continuing to look for. And, we're just going to continue working both those areas.
Now, quarterback Trevor Lawrence, of course, said those deep shots will come also.
We got to start finding some, and that's, like I said, that's me taking them when we have them, hitting them when we have them. Like I said, towards down the stretch, we had two plays specifically where I easily could have hit those. One probably would have been a touchdown, the other one probably would have been a 30-yard gain to Ag on the sideline. So both of those were two opportunities. And then, like I said, I think when you're more efficient on first and second down and you run the ball like we did last week, if you can combine all those things, then that sets up some opportunities for some shots because teams have to respect the run. The way we've ran the ball this year, we've been really efficient, and but I think it's more so of just getting ahead of the chains.
Yeah, getting ahead of the chains. It would help if the starting running back was available to do that today. We'll have the inactives coming up in just a few minutes, but James Robinson testing out that heel injury today at Lucas Oil Stadium to see if he can go or not. James Robinson injured it a couple weeks back in Seattle. This week, talking through how it happened for him.
So I got pushed, and then I went heel to toe, but I stepped really hard on my heel, and then I kind of hyperextended my knee a little bit. I was walking back to the huddle, and I felt it, and something didn't feel right, so I just went out.
That's courtesy First Coast News with the audio there. And, a couple weeks down, it was a different feel. They gave the ball to Carlos Hyde a bunch last week. He's been in the league for a minute, but James Robinson is now in year number 2, just has a different feel about him when he's back there.
Yeah, he picks up chunks of yards. I mean, Carlos Hyde was okay last week. If he doesn't lose the fumble, I think we look at his game as, if they get points on that drive and they're in position to get at least a field goal attempt there, we probably feel a little bit differently about his performance. But look, at this stage of his career, he's a nice complimentary back who can come in and spell the frontline guy. But James Robinson, make no mistake, is the frontline guy in this Jaguars offense at any position. So certainly need him out on the field today.
Let's go to the Jaguars defense. A challenge today against the Colts offense that runs the ball. Jonathan Taylor, second in the league in rushing yards, and Josh Allen on the Jaguars run defense.
He's just explosive, you know what I'm saying? Like, he breaks tackles, he's in and out of backs, and he can catch the ball well. So, he's a great physical running back, and it's a good challenge this week. We have been statistically good against the run, and that's, we're hoping to keep that trend going. And we have all faith that we will. And, for us, we have to stop the run. You know what I'm saying? First, if we want to have any success in the back end or just rushing the passer. So we're getting ready for this challenge.
Yeah, and last week's performance for this Jaguars defense was a little reminiscent of 2017. They took the ball away 3 times. 4 sacks. Now the 2017 team did that week after week after week, but for linebacker Miles Jack, it was reminiscent.
We felt like we had the quarterback flustered, so it was definitely kind of like reminiscent of that experience, you know what I mean? And I feel like we're capable of putting those efforts together. It's just when you see us making mistakes and guys are running free, we're really beating ourselves. But I feel like that last Sunday we finally put together a total defensive game where everybody knew what they were doing. We were trusting each other. We just went out there and played fast against a really, really, really talented team.
That audio courtesy First Coast News as well, and he would know he's about the only guy left from 2017.
Right. A big plus this week as Miles Jack missed a couple of days of practice that he did not have an injury designation carried into the weekend. So it couldn't it could happen, but I wouldn't want to go out there against this team and their running attack in Indianapolis without Miles Jack on the field. And you hope, JP, it's a little bit contagious. I thought, the play in one game can be contagious. Saw a lot of guys fired up, feeding off of each other. I hope that could carry over from last week to this week because those 3 turnovers, more than they had in their previous 7 games total this year to bring their total on the season to 5. Need a lot more of those going forward.
Those are some of today's top stories. Let's go to Los Angeles, California, and welcome in NFL Network analyst Bucky Brooks ahead of week number 10. Bucky, good morning to you. Bucky, are you there? We're back at it again. Bucky is not with us. We see Bucky. We do not hear Bucky, and we'll try to get with him in just a moment. It's a big we were talking about this earlier with Urban Meyer, right? They got the winning result against a good team last week. They've got another challenge this week, and, as Andrew Catalon said, even if they don't win today, the win of last week still carries a lot of weight, I think, in the messaging and the building that they're doing some things the right way.
It can, but, we got to get way past that point, right? I know we're not way past that point right now, and the Jags need to have building blocks in terms of stacking some positive play together, but at some point we got to get beyond, there's no let's look back a week ago or what we did 2 weeks ago. Let's do it again today, and can they bring that out there on the football field? I like what Miles Jack was saying a moment ago, JP, where he said, we all believe now. We all, I think things have been simplified. They've tried some different things. They've had a new staff, a lot of new faces. It's taken a while to get them to play to that level. Let's hope that's not the aberration. That's not the one-off, that they really have found some communication issues that have been ironed out, some trust in each other, some belief in the scheme. They know now what they're capable of doing defensively. The challenge is to go out there and do it consistently.
And on the offensive side, we've talked about some of the issues, obviously, throughout the season. We've seen them firsthand. Just got to keep going at it. The personnel is going to be what it is. Those guys can improve as the weeks go along here. It's the second half of the season. Maybe they find some spark at some point, somehow.
I think one guy that is of interest to me that they signed to the practice squad is John Brown, who's a 2-time 1,000-yard receiver in the National Football League. He's always been, his low in terms of yards per catch is right around 14 yards for a season. That is outstanding. This is a true field-stretching player. His nickname is Smokey because he will smoke you if you're not on your P's and Q's. So I don't think he's going to revolutionize the Jaguars' passing attack, but there is a gaping hole waiting for a guy with that kind of speed to at least make defenses respect it. DJ Chark didn't have a lot of catches early on, but the ones he had were going for 22 yards on average. Tyron Johnson hasn't been able to replace that. Nobody to this point has been able to replace that consistently. I think he's a guy to watch for as the season plays out.
I want a nickname like Smokey.
Smokey.
That'd be pretty cool.
It would be pretty cool. Maybe you're a great griller. Or, you seem like a guy who'd have a bourbon and some ribs going, and right. That's where the Smokey would come in.
Yeah, probably so. Jaguars, of course, with Jamal Agnew in there now at wide receiver, doing a few different things. How do they, can they get him the ball in some different ways? He made a catch last week out to the left side, made a guy miss, got upfield, and he's about the most explosive, I think, guy on offense. Right?
By the way, I'm going to call you Jackrabbit JP for the rest of the day, just for you. But look, in terms of Jamal Agnew, Urban Meyer said it, he's the best separator they have on the football team right now, which is a little bit of an indictment on the guys that have been playing receiver for the majority of their football careers. But nevertheless, you got to utilize him. They got him the ball, though. C.J. Beathard put it right on his numbers last week. And so while we have marveled at the occasional kind of tough catch that Jamal Agnew has made and reflected on the fact he hasn't done it that long, you got to make the routine ones as well. And in terms of a big play, that was as routine as it got. So, yeah, he's getting separation, and the Jags don't have a lot of that, JP. So he's going to be a busy guy as long as he holds up under this workload.
Jaguars today have a challenge against the Indianapolis Colts. And, it's the Colts. We talk a lot about the offense and the running game, but it's a defense that's number one in the league in takeaways, 20 of them this year, 10 interceptions, 10 fumble recoveries. They go after the ball. They're punching at the ball. Darius Leonard, Andrew Catalon said it earlier, runs with a fist, and he's trying to punch the ball out. I don't know what Peanut Tillman was the guy with the Bears.
Yeah,
in the
Charles
old days,
Tillman.
Right?
Well, he popularized
it's similar,
it.
Right?
It is, but really, Tillman would kind of pop it out from behind when you're running, and nobody had come to expect that until he made it a thing. I mean, Darius Leonard had one against Michael Carter on Thursday Night Football the last time out for the Colts where he is just throwing a right cross right at the ball. He's not even trying to tackle him at all. No. My question is, JP, what if he misses the ball and he hits you right in the chest with that? Does he get thrown out of the game for throwing a punch? I'm serious. That's a serious question. Like, you're throwing a punch.
Didn't T.J. Watt had a penalty for that a couple of weeks ago, I think, on
had a
penalty,
night game. Right.
Yeah.
But it is something you have to be aware of because there's tackling the player and they're aggressively going after the football. They believe that they're good enough that even if they miss the ball, don't get it out, they can get the guy on the ground pretty easily. But they've been hyper-aggressive in that department trying to force some turnovers. Maybe it's something the Jags need to try a little bit of because, as we said, it just hasn't been great. They've got the one fumble recovery on the year. Love to up that total today.
Darius Leonard, of course, a linebacker, and then you start up front. DeForest Buckner, former first-round pick. They traded a first-round pick for him, and he's the second most tackles in the league this year among defensive tackles. He's a problem up front and a challenge for this offensive line today.
Oh, of course, absolutely, and that's why it's great to have Cam Robinson back. Kwity Paye, a rookie, very highly thought of as a prospect, as a pass rusher, still coming along. So it's not a team that's full of superstars on defense, but they play collectively well together, and they've got a couple of standout guys, as you mentioned right there, and you can build a really good defense around a handful of standout guys. For them, unfortunately, for their side, Xavier Rhodes not going to be available, so that's one of the guys on the back end that you look to be a playmaker, so maybe the Jags can take advantage of that today.
When we return, it's first rounds on us. We'll head to the broadcast booth in Indy for our weekly visit with Jags analysts Jeff Lageman and Tony Baselli. The Jags and the Colts at 1 o'clock, and this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
Your family isn't like anyone else's. Your home shouldn't be either. At Dreamfinders Homes, you can build the home of your dreams in one of their 30-plus communities in Northeast Florida. Choose from luxury single-family homes or maintenance-free townhomes from the 200s. Dreamfinders specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. To find out more, call 904-738-0165 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
Jags fans, did you know you can ride your bike to every Jaguars home game at TIAA Bank Field in Valley Park it for free? That's right. Stop by our bicycle check-in tent sponsored by Alert Today Florida near Gate 1 at TIAA Bank Field. An on-duty ZenCog bike professional will park your bike and ensure it's secure during the game. When the game is over, return your claim ticket to pick up your bike. For cycling safety tips, visit alerttodayflorida.com. Remember, Alert Today, Alive Tomorrow, because safety doesn't happen by accident.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Hey Jags fans, heading to TIAA Bank for a game? Take advantage of Jags Pay and keep your stadium transactions touch-free. Jags Pay is an all-new partnership between the Jaguars and Tap It to give our fans a contactless payment option for all concessions and merchandise. It's fast, safe, and easy to use. Just download the official Jaguars app on any mobile device, tap Jags Pay, and set up your secure payment method. You're all set. To learn more, visit jaguars.com/JagsPay. See you at the bank.
Move day is on the 20, the 10. Yes, another successful move to a new home. I tell you folks, I've never seen a team more prepared than the Move Day crew. With a dominating lead in training, trust, and moving efficiency, it's no wonder why Move Day is the official moving company of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Track your goods online and get updated play-by-plays throughout your move process. While the Jags are moving the chains on game day, they're here to help you on moving day. Call 844-MY-MOVE-DAY or visit MoveDayMovers.com.
Any repeated physical activity puts stress on the body. Checking your phone, getting in the car, sitting at your desk. Checking the phone, getting in your car, sitting at your desk. Checking your phone for the 50th time today. If you do anything with regularity, you should get massaged with regularity. Massage Envy. Keep your body working.
Regular body work makes the body work with massage, skincare, and stretch. Come in today for more information or visit massageenvy.com for more details.
From TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville, this is the Publix Tailgate Show. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. It's Week 10. The Jaguars at 2-6, the Colts at 4-5. The Colts started 0-3, but they've won 4 of the last 6, and 25-plus points in the last 6 games for the Colts, each of those, and 30-plus points in the last 4 games. The Jaguars' high water mark this year in points is 23, of course, in London against the Miami Dolphins. And it's time now for First Rounds on Us.
New York Jets, first-round choice, Jeff Lageman.
Jacksonville Jaguars have selected tackle Southern California, Tony Baselli.
Our resident first-round picks, Jeff Lageman and Tony Baselli, join us from Lucas Oil Stadium in downtown Indianapolis. Thank goodness the roof is closed today. Good morning, guys.
Yeah, it's a little snowy out here in Indianapolis, JP. This morning when we first got up looking out, it was kind of like a drizzly rain. And the next thing you know, it turns to snow and it's blowing sideways. So they can have this weather. I'll take Jacksonville all day long.
No doubt.
Is that not the truth?
I mean, really.
No thanks.
So it's a little different, but thank goodness it's indoors and should be a good football game here today.
Jaguars defense put together a great outing last week, of course. Bunch of different pressure looks on a team that didn't really run the ball much coming in on the Buffalo Bills. This is the exact opposite. This Colts team runs it. Jonathan Taylor, they got a couple other guys back there too. And they've got, a balanced look off that with Carson Wentz if he can manage this thing.
I think that's the biggest thing, what you bring up right there, JP, and that's balance. And that last week you got a Buffalo Bills team that came out, and they're a 3 wide receiver set, and they really didn't even try to run the football. And this team today, they will run the football, and they've also got a quarterback who's kind of turned back the clock a little bit, being reunited with Frank Reich. And Carson Wentz was one of the up-and-coming great quarterbacks in the league, Tony, when he was at Philadelphia. And then he lost his mojo, and this year it looks like he's got it back. I mean, he's got 6 games in this season already where he's been over 100 quarterback rating, and he's coming off his career highest-rated game in last week's game against the Jets.
Well, you talked about the balance, Jeff, and you're right. Carson Wentz is a big part about that. And I think you have to get them unbalanced. Last week against last Thursday night, or 2 Thursday nights ago against the Jets, they were what Urban Meyer said he wants the Jaguars to be, north of 250 in passing and rushing. I mean, I was here doing that game. It was a dominating performance. And I think if you want to get this Colts offense kind of off rhythm, it starts by taking away the run and forcing them into long down and distance situations and force Carson Wentz to move his feet. And he has shown the propensity when you do that to throw it to the wrong person because he forces things.
Like he did a couple weeks ago against the Tennessee Titans.
That's exactly right.
And one of the ways you got to do that is you got to contend, which is what I think the best trio in the National Football League as far as the interior offensive line, because Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly, and Mark Lewinsky, the interior 3 of the Colts, I think are the best 3 in football just because of how good Ryan Kelly and Quentin Nelson are. And so the Jaguars' defensive tackles have got to play well, whether it's Roy Robertson-Harris, whether it's Devon Hamilton, Malcolm Brown, Adam Gotsis. I don't care. Whoever is facing any of those 3 guys had better be winning.
Well, and Jeff, Glowinski actually has been rotating the last couple of weeks with
Chris
a former
Reed.
Jaguar, Chris Reed.
We used to call him a Bulldog.
And looks really good.
And he's good. We thought he was good in Jacksonville.
He's playing really good football.
As far as the run blocking goes, Chris Reed has always been a Bulldog. Me and Tony loved him as a run blocking, road grading guard in Jacksonville. His problem came in pass protection. So this is a good unit in Indianapolis, and Jonathan Taylor is big, he's fast, he's got great vision. He does not have a weakness, so this is a big challenge in today's game.
Well, he's actually a little slow when you compare him to Nyheim Hines, who's a burner,
world-class speed guy,
world-class sprinter, and that's it's a little bit of
who catches a million footballs.
Yeah, thunder and lightning, if you want to call it that. But they're both on the field at the same time as well during certain formations, and he'll line up in the slot, and you better cover him with the corner. because he's a dangerous receiver, and he's great in the screen game. They have a really good backfield with those two guys.
JP and Mike, if you try to put Damian Wilson on Naheem Hines, you're going to lose the matchup.
Well, guys, hopefully it'll be a tough matchup for the Colts defense. So we're getting a report from Ian Rappaport that James Robinson's expected to play for the Jaguars today. How much of a difference can that make offensively for this team?
Well, I think it will help, but how effective will he be? Anytime a guy comes out before the game to warm up, I'm not counting, to find out whether he can play or not, this warm up. I'm not counting on him being an absolute beast in the ball game, and that's. Maybe I'll be wrong, and I hope I am wrong, because James Robinson is a special player, Mike, and I think he can do great things. But that's always concerning if a player has to warm up before the game to find out if he can play, because how effective can he be?
First round's on us. Tony Baselli, Jeff Lageman from Lucas Oil Stadium. Time now for UF Health Finding Solutions. Visit ufhealthjacks.org. Well, a question about the star, one of them, on the Colts defense, linebacker Darius Leonard. The question for you, gentlemen, how do you handle him? How do you avoid him? How do you scheme up to get him blocked and have any success against Darius Leonard and his turnover capability?
Well, he's a true three-down linebacker. And what I mean by that, he is effective against the run and against the pass. He's long, he can run, he's a good blitzer, he's good in coverage. You don't avoid him. He's the inside linebacker. He's the captain of the defense. He is going to be around. And so you have to identify him in the pass game, make sure, because he's a very effective blitzer. And in the run game, I think you got to get physical with him. And you go back to those, Jeff was talking about their interior three. Let's talk about our interior three. If you look at, Bartz and Shatley and Noel, those three guys, you got to get a body up on them, and you got to be physical and make it a fight and make it dirty. Because if you just try to go up there and you're a little patty cake, he can run through, he can run around you. And then the other thing is ball security. Go back and watch, and I know, Jeff, you saw it, but if you ever want to see a textbook punch out of the football, go watch the Jets game.
Great
where
punch. He's
coming up. Usually the guy who punches it out is the second guy. He goes up, wraps around with his left, and as he's wrapping with his left to tackle the Jets running back, he has a full Mike Tyson punch that is violent and hits it right on the ball and knocks it out. Bobby Wagner has set the bar of inside linebackers in this area. Darius Leonard's right below him.
Yeah, but as far as Bobby Wagner set the bar, it's like tackling machines at linebacker, and Darius Leonard is right there with him as far as the number of tackles. But I think Darius Leonard is better at causing fumbles, and if you look at it from a career standpoint, he's better than Bobby Wagner. And also he's got a really good player up in front of him in DeForest Buckner, who is an absolute beast. He's a big, long guy. He's good against the run. He's good against the pass. And the Jaguars are going to have to worry about him. Now, he's questionable with a back injury, so hopefully that back is flaring up on him right now. But that's going to be a big challenge to block, because DeForest Buckner is about as good of a defensive tackle in the league as far as against the run and against the pass that there is. But the big question to me, we talked about James Robinson and is he going to play, and you got to block Darius Leonard and you got to block DeForest Buckner. That's all fine and great. The quarterback in Trevor Lawrence has to play better. In the last couple of weeks, he has not gotten better. Seattle performance wasn't great. Buffalo performance wasn't great. Now, mind you, those are two really good defenses that are playing at a high level right now. But he's got to up his game, and especially against a Colts defense that is not overly complicated. This is a simplistic defense here in Indianapolis, and he's got to start to show some improvement, especially now that we're starting to get into the meat of the schedule, and he's got a lot of reps under his belt.
And he's got to get help from his playmakers, guys, obviously. Laviska Shenault, the guy who is disappointed, I think, based on preseason expectations, hasn't scored this year, but he scored 3 of his 5 touchdowns last year in the 2 games against Indianapolis. Is there a chance he can get that feeling reignited today?
Well, let's hope so. I mean, the Jaguars in general, Mike, have had great success against the Colts. In the last 26 games, the Jaguars have 4 wins. Not good. 2 of those wins have come against the Colts, though. And, Frank Reich, the head coach, is only 3-3 against them. All those wins coming here in this building. And I bring all that up in reference to your point around Laviska's having success against the Colts. That's because the entire team has. And let's hope that carries over and Laviscus can be that difference maker on offense. And because, Mike, you made the point, you says the playmakers have to help Trevor Lawrence out. My question back to you, JP, and Jeff next to me, who are the playmakers on this team? Because we haven't seen much out of it. I would argue the best playmaker on the team, outside of a healthy James Robinson, is a guy we picked up, a little bit into the season, in Dan Arnold. He's the one guy that creates separation and is a mismatch.
I don't think there's any doubt. And then the next best guy, most explosive guy that we've seen lately is a guy that we signed to play special teams, and that's Jamal Agnew. So, look, and that's no criticism of Marvin Jones Jr. He's been consistent. He catches the ball. But as far as a defensive coordinator's ability to have concern about an explosive offensive weapon, right now I think Dan Arnold and Jamal Agnew are at the top of the list if you looked at that. And there's one other note, Tony, you talked about the Jaguars having great success against the Colts, or the better success that they've had. True. And interesting in that in the last 7 games that these two teams have met, the home team has won every game. That's interesting.
Yeah, Jags haven't won up there since 2017. By the way, Marvin Jones Jr., 3 career games against the Colts, 3 touchdowns. Let's see if he can step back up today. We'll come back in a moment. We'll see if my wire-to-wire run continues in fantasy picks. Coming up at 11:50, we'll hear from senior writer John Ozier with his game preview as well. The Jags and the Colts at 1 o'clock at Lucas Oil Stadium in downtown Indy. And this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
Ready to take the next step toward the ultimate you. Dr. Patrick Basil, official plastic surgeon of the Jacksonville Jaguars, presents the Ultimate You Sweepstakes. Enter for a chance to win a cool sculpting treatment package valued at $4,500, plus a Jaguars performance training session. Receive your free customized treatment in a relaxed, modern, patient-centered environment. Learn more and enter the sweepstakes at jaguars.com/ultimateyou or call 904-222-6262. Terms and conditions apply. No purchase necessary.
It's time for sunshine and summer showers, so it's more important than ever to make sure you call Crystal Clean for all your waterproofing needs. Waterproofing can extend the life of your building by keeping water outside where it belongs. And that Florida sun can beat up your business's paint job. Crystal Clean's painting services can bring your building back to life. From waterproofing to painting, schedule Crystal Clean today. Call 904-220-3337 or go to crystalclean.com. You don't have to worry when it's crystal clean.
It's a force that can't be contained. Propelled by purpose, pride, and the power to protect. When winning isn't just the mission, it's your passion. You pursue it. You make power plays. You pick your team. At Farrah & Farrah, we deliver game day energy 24/7. Jacksonville.
Committed to the team. Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. So our policies have no fine print and no military service restrictions. We don't work on commission. We're nonprofit, so we pass the savings along to our members. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org. Navy Mutual, insuring those who serve.
On the road, there's a thin line between safety and tragedy. Don't cross it. Give law enforcement, first responders, and service professionals the space to safely do their jobs. When you see flashing lights, move over a lane or slow down 20 miles per hour below the posted speed limit. See lights? Move over, Florida. Brought to you by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles and the Florida Highway Patrol.
Are you tired of not seeing clearly? As the official eye care provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Florida Eye Specialists offers the safest, most effective technology to regain control of your sight. With 9 locations across Northeast Florida, our dedicated doctors have provided premier eye care to the community for more than 20 years. Call 904-564-2020 or visit FloridaEyeSpecialists.com to book an appointment with Jacksonville's most trusted eye care providers today.
JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. The Publix Tailgate show continues. It's Week 10, the Jags and the Colts. At 1 o'clock at Lucas Oil Stadium, the Jags offense has scored fewer than 10 points in consecutive games for the first time since weeks 13 and 14 of the 2018 season, and they've never gone 3 straight with fewer than 10 points. The Jags 31st in the league this season in points per game, 16.5. Time now for our fantasy outlook. And at least so far, through 9 weeks, wire to wire, can I finish the job?
Well, you did a good job solidifying that, JP, last week with 82 points, the high for the week, with the trio of Lamar Jackson, Nick Chubb, and Cooper Kupp all pulling down a minimum of 20 for you. So 82 was the high. That was 31 better than Jeff Lageman, who had 51. He's in second place overall at 478, although Tony Baselli was second last week with 59. Tony moving out of a tie for last up into fourth place. So here are the standings. JP with 519, Jeff with 478. I have 449. Tony's got 422, and Frank's got 409. But I almost was in Frangie territory last week with my 33-point outing, Frank. Sorry to put that on you. But I will be picking first today. Frank second, Jeff, Tony, and then JP. So if we're ready to get the festivities underway, drafting a quarterback, running back, and either a wide receiver or a tight end, I will go with Christian McCaffrey to start my team this week. So, Frank, you're up.
I'll take Najee Harris, please.
All right, Najee it is. And on to Jeff.
I will take Mike Evans.
Dang it.
Evans. And Tony.
I'll go Josh Allen. He's got to respond.
Josh Allen versus the Jets. JP, back-to-back picks.
Give me DK Metcalf and give me Dak Prescott.
Metcalf and Dak it is. All right, Tony, back to you.
Give me Ezekiel Elliott.
Okay, Zeke. Jeff, need a quarterback or a running back?
I will take Derek Carr.
Carr. Good matchup for him, it looks like. Frank?
How about A.J. Brown?
Okay, A.J. Brown. I will go with I'm going to go with Tom Brady at quarterback. And I'm going to go with CeeDee Lamb at wide receiver this week. And Frank, need a quarterback here.
I think I'm going to take Jalen Hurts.
Okay, Hurts. Jeff, need a running back?
Can I take Cordarrelle Patterson as a running back?
Sure you can. Use him either way. A running back or a wide receiver, I think, is fair.
I'll take him. I'll take him as my running back.
Patterson is off the board. Tony, need a wide receiver?
Oh, crap.
Take Deontay Johnson, Pittsburgh, dude. With a new backup quarterback, he's going to light it up.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Terry McLaurin, Redskins, take him.
Who?
McLaurin, Redskins.
Okay, I'll go Terry McLaurin. How about that?
Whoa, a lot of thought put into that one. We
digging deep.
We can tell. JP, need a running back.
James Conner.
All right, James Conner it is. Good pick this week. With Edmonds on IR. Here are the teams. I've got Tom Brady, Christian McCaffrey, and CeeDee Lamb. Franco's Jalen Hurts, Najee Harris, and A.J. Brown. Jeff will roll with Derek Carr, Cordarrelle Patterson, and Mike Evans. Tony has Josh Allen, Ezekiel Elliott, and Terry McLaurin, while JP goes Dak Prescott, James Conner, and DK Metcalf. And the wire-to-wire dream is still alive for Mr. Shadrick.
You bet it is. Guys, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you in the final hour and countdown to kickoff. Let's get to the inactives for today's game. Let's start off with the Jaguars. They have 5 players down today. Tyron Johnson, wide receiver, inactive again today for the Jags. Divina Zigbo, running back, will not play today. Trey Herndon, corner, is out of this game. Jacob Hollister, tight end, out. And Jordan Smith has not seen the field yet. The rookie out of UAB inactive. Those are the 5 down for the Jags today.
All right, the big news for the Colts is that DeForest Buckner is active for them today. But the 6 official inactives listed, defensive end Ben Bonagou, tackle Julian Davenport, Will Freeze, an offensive lineman, backup running back Marlon Mack will not play today, cornerback Xavier Rhodes, and wide receiver Mike Strawn, the 6 Colts that are officially inactive.
PRI Productions, the Southeast full-service event company, has everything you need to bring your next idea to life. Visit PRIProductions.com and learn more. Let's head back to Indianapolis. Frank Frangie standing by in the broadcast booth indoors today. Thank goodness, snow, and it's 34 outside.
And it came out of nowhere, JP. We were out last night and went over to St. Elmo's and had a steak, and we're walking around, and it was cold, but didn't look like this. You woke up this morning, and we're in Alaska. So it's, good to have an indoor game, and it's a fun matchup when these two get together for sure.
All right, Frank, great defensive performance for the Jags last week. This is a completely different kind of team that they're playing this week. Last week, you knew Buffalo doesn't want to commit to the run at all, and they were able to keep all that passing in front of them for the most part. This time, if you want to play a shell against Indy, they'll carve you with that running game. So can they have a shift in philosophy this week and still be as effective as they were against the Bills?
They can, as effective, maybe not, Mike, but I think they'll be effective. A couple things. Number one, you're right. You got to play differently against a team that wants to run it than against a team that likes to pass it, and that's been the talk all week long. But I do think they found something defensively with DeJuan Smoot playing way more of the opposite rush end to Josh Allen than K'Lavon Chaisson, with Rudy Ford and that explosiveness he plays with. No, he's not a very good cover guy, but that explosiveness he plays with, I think they found something. And I think when you play that well defensively, it affects you from an emotional standpoint. You have a little more confidence. Maybe not quite a swagger yet, Mike. So I think they will be able to take that performance with them today. Again, it's a different matchup. It's a more physical team. But I think they will glean some of that. I expect them to play well defensively. I don't think Jonathan Taylor's going for 250-plus today. I think they'll play well defensively, even though it's a different kind of matchup.
Rudy Ford was a guy who stepped in the last couple weeks at nickel, but last week, was out there all day. I mean, they were a nickel most of the day. I think he missed one snap all game on defense, and he had his career day. Doesn't have a lot of time on defense in his career until right now, and he's making the most of it. He's still playing special teams, too. To bring him onto this team in free agency as a special teams contributor and then have him play at the level he did last week, that's a huge step for Urban Meyer, for Joe Cullen, and this Jaguars defense.
You know what, JP? I think the Jamal Agnew story and the Rudy Ford story are the same story, just on opposite sides of the ball. So Jamal Agnew runs 100 miles an hour, right? So, and they can't find a receiver and a deep threat, and they lose DJ Chark, and they don't love their core. So why don't you take this special teams guy that runs 100 miles an hour and put him on offense, and you know what? He's made an impact. I think the same thing with Rudy Ford. He's a special teams guy that runs 100 miles an hour, and you didn't count on him playing much defense, but you don't love your nickel right now. You don't love what you've done from a pass defense standpoint. You've had to go more zone. So why not take this guy that runs 100 miles an hour and put him in on defense? He played great last week. And again, he's physical. So, Mike, to your question about the changing face of the offense you'll face today, well, he's a great guy to have in there because he's a big physical player that runs real fast. So, yeah, I think Rudy Ford's a great story, JP. I think it's going to be fun watching him develop. This is the first chance he's had as an NFL player to really be a factor on a defense, not just a special teams guy, and it's going to be fun watching him develop. I really think that.
All right, Frank, let's take a look at offensively. Struggling on third down is an understatement, and Urban Meyer and Darrell Bevel both addressed it this week and mentioned that when guys are open, we got to hit them. In other words, Trevor Lawrence needs to be better himself on third down. It's just not, the lack of playmakers on the outside. What have you seen from Lawrence lately, and do you think that will happen, that he will start to improve in those situations?
I think part of it's the learning process. I heard Jeff say it earlier that he's got to play better. I think part of a rookie quarterback, Mike, is there's ups and downs. You get better at this, but not as good as that. People have tape on you, and NFL defenses know how to defend a young guy until the young guy learns a little bit more. But, Mike, I still think the big thing with this team is until they can stretch the field, nothing's open underneath. And underneath is what you want open on third down. On 3rd and 6, you're not throwing a vertical route. But if you have that vertical route to soften up the middle, then I think you're better on third down. I think and you know this, we all know this, the gigantic problem with this offense is there's not a threat of a downfield passing game. And in this league, if those really fast defensive backs and really fast underneath guys don't worry about you throwing it over the top, boy, they are good at cluttering the middle. And I think that, in my mind, Mike, that's the biggest problem with not just the third down conversions, but with everything in this offense. Somehow they've got to find some verticality here. They have to find it in their offense.
Frank, the Jaguars, of course, got a win against a team that not many people had them even staying in the game with last week, in the Buffalo Bills. This week, similar idea. There's a lot of folks that are picking the Colts to win this one and win it pretty big. If they can pull off a couple of these in a row, then all of a sudden, again, they may not be in the wild card hunt this year, but it gives a little more validity to Urban Meyer's messaging and the whole thing. At least for me, it feels that way. I mean, is this a big game for Urban today?
JP, if they win look, it's not house money. I don't want to say this the wrong way. Every game matters, and they haven't been very good. They've only won 2 times. But I think if they lose this game, nobody is shocked, right? As long as they don't get run out of the gym, I don't think everybody's devastated. But if they win this game, now that's 3 of 4. That's a tipping point a little bit in the NFL, because back in the day, before there were 17 games, any 4-game stretch represented a quarter of the season. You win 3 out of 4 in this league, then I think you've gotten people's attention. Not that you're some great team, but that there's clear progress. And if you win on the road, and remember now, this is a Colts team that's won 3 out of 4. The Colts are good now, JP. Look, they had a tough schedule, man. They started at Seattle when Seattle still had Russell Wilson. Then they played at the Rams. They've already played the Titans twice. They've already had to play at Baltimore. They had a tough early schedule, and now they're playing really well. So if you just like last week against Buffalo, you beat a team that's playing really well. You win this game, I think it gets people's attention. More importantly, you get the attention of your own team. You get the attention in your locker room. You come up with a little more confidence. So gigantic opportunity if they can find a way to win this game.
Frank, have a great call in the heat today in Lucas Oil Stadium.
Great to be indoors, boys. I can promise you that. Thanks, fellas.
Frank Frangie out of here in Indianapolis. Yeah, it's, if they get a little something going, then, get a little more positivity on offense. That would be a nice thing to help some of those results down the stretch. I think that's the most important thing, is find a way to score some more points, because you're not going to win with 9 every week.
No, you're definitely not going to win with 9 most weeks, honestly. So, just get a few more wins. Try to establish that culture. There's a lot of young players that are part of the core of this team that will be back next year. You want them to have some success over the second half of the season. Let's not forget, though, Gus Bradley had one of the worst Jaguar teams we ever saw, and at one point that team won 4 out of 5, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean you've turned the corner, but if you can get these 2 against really solid football teams in back-to-back, we'll take that. I don't care if anybody else takes notice. It'll help inside that locker room.
Up next on the Publix Tailgate Show, a visit with the Ozone. We'll head back to Indy and visit with Jaguars.com senior writer John Ogier. He'll join us from the broadcast booth and give us his final thoughts ahead of this Week 10 matchup. Jaguars Radio Network coverage begins at noon with Countdown to Kickoff. We'll hear from Pete Prisco, Fred Taylor, and we'll have the final word before kickoff with head coach Urban Meyer. We're a little over an hour away from Week 10. Jags Colts coming up, and this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
Jags fans, did you know you can ride your bike to every Jaguars home game at TIAA Bank Field in Valley Park it for free? That's right. Stop by our bicycle check-in tent, sponsored by Alert Today Florida, near Gate 1 at TIAA Bank Field. An on-duty ZenCog bike professional will park your bike and ensure it's secure during the game. When the game is over, return your claim ticket to pick up your bike. For cycling safety tips, visit alerttodayflorida.com. Remember, Alert Today, alive tomorrow, because safety doesn't happen by accident.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Paid for by FDOT.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash, made fresh. Daly's.
Some things make a house your home. Like clean, fresh sheets that make a bed with the soothing scent of fabric softener your thing. When drying clothes with natural gas, you get faster, gentler drying times, save money, and earn a rebate up to $150. Your home. Our safe, reliable, efficient energy. Love natural gas. Find rebate details at peoplesgas.com.
At VyStar Credit Union, you inspire us to deliver on our promise, to do good for our members and our communities. That's why we offer more banking options, like better rates and no hidden fees. We also give back, donating several $1 million to hundreds of nonprofits each year. Better financial lives, stronger communities. VyStar Credit Union. Do good. Bank better. Visit VyStarCU.org/join. Insured by NCUA.
Everyone's so busy keeping up. Forget about the Joneses. We all on our telephones with the texts and the tweets and the beats. What he said, she said, can't even follow the thread. Down the hole, we all go. Me, I like keeping up too, with my Corona and my attitude. That's La Vida Más Fina.
Relax responsibly. Corona Extra Beer, imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.
Final moments of the Publix Tailgate show. The Jags and the Colts coming up in Week 10 at Lucas Oil Stadium, downtown Indianapolis. The Jags offense trying to get it jump-started. So is Trevor Lawrence. Statistically, he's 30th in the league in completion percentage, 25th in passing yards per game, 29th in touchdown-to-interception ratio, and 30th in passer rating. But can't do it all himself. He's looking for some help to get this offense moving and into the end zone. Maybe the Ozone has the answers.
This broadcast is ozone friendly. The Ozone.
Jaguars.com senior writer John Ozier joins us from Lucas Oil Stadium, a place he knows well. Do you have the answers for that, John?
Well, I feel like you're setting me up here, JP, because I think you know darn good and well I don't have the answer to that one. I think everybody's looking for that answer. They've got to get it somehow. I heard Frank talking about it a minute ago, needing verticality in the passing game, needing something to happen. It's in seasons, things become a theme and get sorted out to where all of a sudden this time of year, you know what teams are and what they aren't. And right now it feels like the Jaguars are a team that on offense is forced to play condensed because they just can't hit it downfield. Teams are going to blitz that. They're going to play back and make sure you stay underneath and force you to go 80 yards in 16 plays. That's hard to do. I don't know where the answers are. I know the coaches are going to keep looking for it. My sense, JP, is that you're going to see sporadic success downfield from different players. Maybe it's Agnew. Tyron Johnson's not active today. Maybe at some point he gets active. They're going to find it somewhere at times, and those will be the times the offense feels good. There's going to be other games, I'm afraid, where it's not there. Hopefully today is one of those games where it is.
Trevor Lawrence, John, I read off all those stats there where he's near the bottom of the league. And that's going to be a little bit of the narrative, I think, probably nationally. Oh, Trevor's not playing that well. Things aren't going. What's he doing down there? That's not exactly fair. There's a lot of other positive things going on with him.
Well, look, he's not playing perfectly. He'd be the first to tell you. He's missed some. There was a pass to Marvin Jones last week, and I think one to Agnew could have hit. The one to Marvin, I think he was under pressure. There's been opportunities, but watching that game again last week, there were also 5 or 6 passes that he threw where the guy was just dead solid covered. I mean, there was no space between receiver and defender, so you're trying to throw into it because you're trying to make something happen. And so some of it's him, some of it's the offensive line. But I think most of it is there's not a whole lot of dynamic playmaking in this receiver core. As a result, nothing is easy, JP. Yeah. Sometimes in this league these days, we all watch the entire NFL. Most teams get some easy stuff in the passing game. Right now, they're not there, and it's, to me, with the defense playing better, that's the overriding story of this team.
John, it's always good to get off to a fast start. Is it a little bit more important today when you face a team that has the rushing attack led by Jonathan Taylor that the Colts do? I feel like if the Jags can play from ahead a little bit, maybe they get that pass rush cranked up, and we know that Carson Wentz, although he's having a great year this year, can be forced into mistakes when he's under pressure.
Yeah, well, that seems to be the hope right now of beating this team. The Colts are playing really well offensively. It doesn't feel, you guys may feel differently, but it doesn't feel like the Jags are going to outscore teams if it gets into the 30s. So get up, get ahead, as you say, use James Robinson to sort of milk the clock a little bit. I'm not sure that they can't turn into a team over the second half of the season that can come back with the running game. And I'm thinking Tennessee does that really well. They don't panic if they're behind. They get things going, and they can stick to the run. Jaguars haven't been able to do that this season. Feels like that might be a formula they work with if they get behind. But guess what, guys? Better not to be behind. So, yes, get a lead somehow. Maybe hit one of those big plays early and get that going. That would give you a much better sense after a quarter than if the vice versa was true.
The whole game day, game time decision stuff for a running back is, that doesn't really inspire a lot of confidence, but apparently it was good enough for James to go today. What can we expect? Urban said this week maybe they'll, get a little more Carlos Hyde if he goes, mix him in there some. They do that anyway, but what are you expecting from James today?
Yeah, to me, if Hyde plays as well as he did against the Bills last week, and you get 70% James Robinson, I don't know what that looks like, but it looks better than no James Robinson. And I think you'll be okay in the running game. Carlos Hyde, fans love to criticize the guy for some reason, but he's played pretty well. So out of James Robinson, I have no idea. Obviously it was enough to make him questionable, enough to where he need to be tested, and enough to miss a practice this week. It'd probably be a little naive to think he's going to be 100%. Maybe it's a case where you get a half out of him and he can't go anymore. Hard to say. I wish I knew. I'd feel a lot better predicting this game if I did know.
Jonathan Taylor with 5.9 yards per carry going up against the Jags defense that is third best in allowing rushing yards per carry. Which side wins that battle? Like 4.8 seems about the midpoint. That seems a little bit high even if you battle to a draw there.
Yeah, I think the key for Taylor, he seems to be a guy right now with this Colts offensive line that is you're starting to feel the same way you did when you were playing Henry. Different backs, and that's kind of obvious. But what I mean is if you give up 80 or 90, okay. Every time I turn on the TV and watch the Colts, I see Taylor's backside running somewhere. And I'm sure defenders feel the same way. So I think what you want to do is hope that you can keep him from having a 75-yard run and having a game-breaking moment where all of a sudden this building gets behind him. So I say you're pretty happy if you give up 90 and nothing's over 15 yards. I think you feel pretty good about that as long as he's not breaking the game open.
There's John Oehser, Jaguars.com senior writer. We'll look forward to your writing, as you always do, after the game on Jaguars.com.
Guys, thank you. Appreciate it.
There he is. Out of the house that Oehser built. Lucas Oil Stadium? No, of course not. Peyton Manning was there. Of course, John was there with the Colts for a long time as well, and back with us. Glad the Jaguars have brought him back now. 10 years he's been back. 2011 he came back.
Seems like 20.
Right. So the Jags and the Colts today, that'll do it for the Publix Tailgate Show. We'll return with Jaguars Radio Network coverage. Countdown to kickoff. We'll hear from Pete Prisco, pride of the Jaguars running back Fred Taylor, and the final word before kick with head coach Urban Meyer. An hour away from Week 10, the Jags and the Colts coming up. This has been the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.